here is your Module 69 little packet that you've been working on. All right, so this one says factor market pricing. So again, this is the Acme Belt Company, and all that you have to do here is you're finding the difference between 0 and 1 and hiring 2, 3, 4. So you're going to hire this many number of people. So as you hire up that labor, and you find how much that labor is bringing in, then what I find here is my marginal physical product. So the change in quantity divided by the change in labor is going to give you this. Well, basically your change in labor is 1, so the difference is going to give you that. So as you go through this column, all you really have to do is like figure out like, okay, what's the difference between looking at 70 to 105, right? So this box here, so you're going to fill this in 35. You fill in this sheet all the way down, and then they're going to ask you some questions about like how much you're going to hire, etc. If the price was $2 a belt or something like that. Take a few seconds and fill that in now. Okay, now that you have that filled in, as you're looking at it, you should have all these numbers just how it is, and then it's going to ask you some questions on the bottom. It's going to say, for example, if the marginal resource cost or the wage faced by ABC is $20 and the price of belts is $2 per belt, then the quantity of units of labor demanded by ABC is blank. Well, what I'm going to do here is if I know that this is how much these guys are worth to me at a price of $2, then what I'm trying to figure out is, well, how much do they cost me? Well, they cost me my wage. And the wage that I have here is $20. So if I know that the wage is 20 and I know this is how much they're bringing in, then basically this is my marginal revenue, and my marginal cost, if you will, is 20, 20, 20, because I have to pay each one of these guys $20, right? So if I do that, I'm going to come down and I'm going to find where they match. And so as I look at this column, I come right down here, and $20 is how much I pay that guy. $20 is how much it brings in at the 9th person. So this answer has to be hire 9 people. Now, if I look at the next one, it says if the marginal resource cost or wage faced by ABC is $20 and the price of the belt is $2.50. Well, now I have to look at this column, right? But the thing is, when I go down this column, I'm going to find that I get to 25 and then I go to 0. So I am still going to hire 9 people because at 25, that's greater than 20. But if I hire the next guy, he's going to bring in 0 and he costs me 20 bucks. So when I look at it, I am going to make a little bit of economic profit here at 25, but I am still going to hire 9 people. All right? That's good stuff. Turn the page. We're back. As you look at this, we can turn the page, and basically this is taking these two columns right here. Here's the price of a belt at $2, and this column is the price of a belt at $2.50. So number 4 is simply asking if the wage rate is $2 and the price of the belt, or $20 I should say, and the price of the belt is $2, then how much are we going to demand if we know that the market, the demand, how much labor demanded in the market, if it's 1,000, how many units of labor am I going to have? So if I know that this is 9, which I know from the previous page, I'm going to hire 9 people, but I know that the quantity of labor demanded in the market is 1,000 times 9, that means we want 9,000 units of labor, right? I know that there's a whole bunch of firms out here, right? 1,000 identical firms that are all trying to hire up this labor. So because of that, if each firm out of 1,000 firms is all hiring 9 people, there'll be 9,000 people in my market. Those are good things to set up the next page. And the next page is the part where it really gets interesting in terms of labor and how much labor is supplied and demanded. Turn the page. All right, so as we look at this particular graph, in this graph, it's going to show us that this is the supply of labor, right? So supply is upward sloping because people who want to work in the market are going to work, and they're going to provide more wage hours, if you will, or hours to work, if you will. They're going to do that when they get paid more. So this supply of labor is upward sloping. My demand, the market demand for labor is here, and that's going to be how many people are going to work for those particular wages. And we can see that this equilibrium here is going to be at $50. So it says the equilibrium wage in the market is $50, right? Because you are going to pay $50 where supply meets demand. Okay. Now it says the equilibrium quantity of labor in this market then is, and you got to come down here, and it looks like 6,000 workers. So there's 6,000 workers, and they're going to make 50 bucks an hour, or 50 bucks a day, or whatever it is we're measuring this wage rate in. Now, number 6 says, given that this is a competitive labor market, and ABC, my firm here, they're going to face a marginal resource cost or a wage rate of how much? Well, in this market, they're going to get a wage rate of 50 bucks because they're a price taker just like everybody else. The margin, it's they can't really change the amount of people that are willing to work, and so they're going to have to pay the market wage, right? So now, number 7 says because ABC can purchase as much or as little of the labor that they want without really affecting the market, they face a perfectly elastic labor supply curve. What does that mean? Well, it's kind of like perfect competition, but in a labor sense. So what's going to happen? You're going to take this $50 wage and you're going to come right straight across, just like this. So if this is my marginal revenue product of labor curve, then this is going to be like how much labor is demanded, right? So this is labor demanded, and then you're going to see that you're going to hire approximately, I don't know, is that $50 comes across? It almost looks like 5 workers. Try to make that line as straight as possible. It should hit, I don't know, mine seems to hit at 5, like just between 5 and 6. Let's say I made that line just a little bit over. Comes right down here. It's supposed to hit at 6 is how it's designed. So you got to make your lines a little bit straight. Maybe mine wasn't so straight coming across. As you look there, that is how many workers I'm going to hire is 6 workers, right? And then it tells you, you can use different colored pen, blah, blah, blah. But as you can see here, there really is, there's nothing special about hiring people in terms of like how much you're going to pay them, how many you're going to hire. Because when you look at it, this is just what is. If you're not bringing in any labor, or not bringing any resources, for the business, then I'm not going to hire you as a person. If you are bringing in, stuff in terms of value, then I am going to hire you. And when my wage rate's at $50 here, I'm just set. Like I'm going to hire 6 people. If for some reason I wanted to or had to pay my workers more money, right? Like let's say this isn't $50 and let's say this is like a $10 minimum wage coming across, and then all of a sudden we go up to $15 of minimum wage, then the number would come up here someplace. Well, what's going to happen? If I have to pay a higher wage, you can draw that line across if you want. As that wage goes up, I'm going to hire less people. So if I were to go to like I don't know, let's say this is 60 and that's 70, somewhere in here, if I had to go pay a $60 wage, I might lay off 2 people, 1.5 people, something like that. I might go to a part-time employee and then like 1 full-time person's gone. So if I have to pay people more money, I will get rid of people. This is why we have labor in places that aren't America. When you look at places like China that has lots of manufacturing there, if you don't have to pay your people very much money, you will hire more people there. It's cheap, right? So if I would come down here and pay, let's say, $2 an hour or something like that, some cheap amount, well, look, over here, I'm going to hire 9 workers instead. So as I follow my wage rate along this line, that's how many people I am going to hire. So as you look at this, it's interesting to see how labor and wages, cause people to hire or fire. And when you saw people like, I don't know, politicians, when politicians come in and say, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to, make jobs, all right? So if some politician comes in and tells you they're going to make jobs, there's basically two ways for them to make jobs, and one of them is lower wages, right? So if I lower wages for everybody, that's going to make jobs, right? All of a sudden, we're going to have jobs, jobs, jobs because, well, what's going to happen? I cut your benefits or I cut your pay somehow. Maybe you had somebody negotiating for you before and now they decide not to allow that to happen anymore. Whatever it might be. But you're definitely going to get paid less. The only other way to make jobs is to do this. If you look at the bottom of your sheet here, it talks about, oh, well, what happens if the price of belts goes up to $2.50, right? Then what's going to happen? Designate this on the sheet of paper. Well, if you go to the other page, you're going to say, this is now going to be 55, and you're now going to see 6,500 workers get hired. And what's going to happen? Well, you're going to get a new demand curve for labor. It's going to happen like up here someplace, and then you're going to see this come across like this, and then you're going to see when there's more demand for your product, right? Because remember, this is the price of my belt, and if my price of my belt is now $2.50, I can demand more labor, right? My labor demand curve is going to come over because the value of my marginal product of labor is going to be more. So that means this line over here is also going to increase, and now all of a sudden you're going to see something like that happen. And it's, you should move it enough so where it crosses, it's going to hit at like 6,500. Oh, my fault. It's because I went off the whole line. Go off this line here. So there's the 6,500. It's going to fall right here because I'm going off of this line. So what has happened? Well, in this case, my value of my person went up because my price went up. So there's only two ways to make jobs. Two ways to make jobs if you're looking at like these perfectly competitive things. The first one is pay people less. And the second one is charge more for your product. All right? Unless something crazy like a new technology change or something like that's going to happen, I mean, that could shift that line too. But when you're looking at it, this is it. So when a new governor, a new president, a new politician comes in and they're like, we're going to make jobs and we're open for business, right? All that stuff, all that means is we're going to cut your wages or we're going to make you pay more for your products. So if you are looking at your state, for example, and your state says, oh, we need some jobs. If you decide to buy into what that politician's telling you, you're probably just going to end up with low-paying jobs or higher products that you're going to have to pay for in an inflation sense. So as you walk through that worksheet, I know obviously this gets a little messy in here and whatnot, but if you come away with those two things, two ways to make jobs, pay people less, charge more for your product, those are going to be the ways to do it. All right, hopefully that helped. We'll get you through the next page of your little packet in the next video. Thanks.